Hello, FryGuy64 here. You're probably expecting a review of Castlevania today. Alas, my search for a job that pays me money derailed my well-laid plans to review a 30-year-old video game for the internet. But rather than leave you in the lurch, I thought I'd throw together a little Q&A, or an AMA, or whatever they're called these days. So let's get to it! David Fleming asks, everyone always talks about Smash Bros. Characters, but what stages are you hoping to see in Smash for Switch? Excellent question. Years ago, me and some forum friends came up with some really cool stage ideas. The one I keep coming back to is the Venus Lighthouse from Golden Sun. It has a large central platform with two towers off to the side and small floating platforms joining them. From time to time, the Fusion Dragon or Doom Dragon appears to blast the stage with an attack. I'd love to see this series get some more representation. As for more modern games, I'm pretty sure we'll see a Breath of the Wild stage, although I'm not sure where they'd set it. The Corrupted Hyrule Castle would be pretty cool. New Donk City from Mario Odyssey, obviously. Gotta have that music in there. And do you think we could still have a stage based on Kirby Planet Robobot? Man, I love that game. I just want to see Clanky Woodsmaker return. Ugh, creepy. Let me know in the comments if you want to see some more Smash stage ideas. I've got a bunch more. David Fleming then followed up with, oh, I didn't realise you'd be drawing responses. Feel free to shoot for something simpler. Favourite dessert? Haha. Yeah, that would have been a lot easier. Apple crumble. Deck the 64th asks, what's your favourite film to game adaptation, or vice versa? My favourite film to game would be Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. But that's more of a side story using some of the same characters though. So if that doesn't count, then it's probably still GoldenEye. My favourite game to film? Can I have Wreck-It Ralph? No. Honestly, they're all so bad that I skipped most of them. Ooh, I tell you what, that live-action Japanese Ace Attorney movie. I really enjoyed that one. I know not a lot of people like it, but you can tell they had a lot of fun making it. Pokey the Penguin asks, do you like fun? Yes! If you haven't read the Pokey the Penguin comics, please do. There's over 20 years of fantastic weirdness and I'm a huge fan. Leeway asks, Nintendo are often praised for their originality, yet they have the same core titles with numerous sequels. Mario, Mario Kart, Metroid, Donkey Kong, Kirby, Pokemon, Zelda, etc. Do you think this alienates them from certain gaming demographics? Absolutely it will. But I think any approach to publishing any games is going to alienate somebody. If you look at that list of properties and don't see anything there that interests you, then you have other options. You'd be missing out on some great titles, but you have options. There are plenty of third-party titles on the Switch these days covering genres Nintendo is unlikely to ever develop themselves. Or buy a console with a library more closely aligned to your preferences. I don't know, I'm not your mum. But I don't feel this is unique to Nintendo. I don't look at the PS4 or Xbox One and see a wealth of games in the genres I like to play. And it's not just because I'm a Nintendo fanboy. Back in the PS2 era, there were so many games on it that I wanted to play. One day the dam burst, I was missing out on too much. I bought the console and just started stockpiling PS2 games like a lunatic. I miss that. Leeway then asked, what's your best 3-man Marvel vs Capcom team? Pfft, I suck with everyone. Seriously, last one I played was MVC2, and I picked characters purely on how cool I thought they looked. So I'd say Mega Man, Venom, and Jinsei Otome. Haha, he's so silly. Old Man Rupee asks, who sent you? You did. From the future! Saturn Storm asks, what's your guilty pleasure game? One of my bad habits is recollecting games that I played as a kid, even though I hated them as a kid. And still hate them now. Like Bart vs the Space Mutants on NES or Home Alone on Super Nintendo. They may suck, but they still hold some nostalgia for me. Good luck figuring out that brain nonsense. Alex Bodine asks, how did you get involved with Nintendo Force? And are there any comics you wanted to include but had to drop? So, if you didn't know, I also draw comics for Nintendo Force magazine. Go and subscribe through Patreon, link down there somewhere. The first few issues of the magazine would feature a multi-page Super Mario comic with an original story written by the lovely David Oxford. I don't know all the details myself, but I must have drawn something David quite liked because I was then approached to be the artist on his comic idea. They then kept me around to work on my own comics, which was very nice of them. And that's the story. As for whether I've ever had to drop a comic, the short answer is no. Not an entire comic. Back in issue 24 I made a pinboard of rejected Mario Party minigames. Sniff the Sniffit, Goombas on Roombas, First Person Snooter, 50 Shies of Guy, and Touch Fuzzy Get Acrossy, only that last one wasn't the original panel. I was asked to replace it as the original was considered unsuitable for the very young members of the magazine's audience. So, presented to the outside world for the very first time, Donkey Kong Beer Pong. The Great Tave asked 6 blooming questions, cheeky sod, so it's time for a quickfire round. What's your favourite Nintendo character? Waluigi, sometimes Iggy. What's your favourite Mario power-up? Penguin Suit. Of all of Nintendo published games, which one is your least favourite? YLA Country Club True Golf Classics on N64. I mean, look at it. What are your favourite local and foreign foods? A good old British meat pie. And lasagna, which is basically Italian meat pie. Do you like cats? Or puddums dudums? Maybe. What's up? Not much, bro. And finally, Jeremy Bear asks, when are you going to play Chrono Trigger, the glaring omission from your played pile? Now, before everyone piles on, nearly every big Super Nintendo JRPG didn't get released in the UK back in the day. Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG, Earthbound, Final Fantasy 2 and 3, or 4 and 6. What did we get? Mystic Quest Legend? Everything else was an action RPG, like Secret of Evermore or Terranigma. And then when I moved from the SNES to the N64, that had, what? Holy Magic Century and Paper Mario. So I never really got into RPGs at the time, and that's just followed me into adulthood. One of the reasons I'm doing Best of the NES is to force myself to play through a ton of games I wouldn't normally. If I have to beat some popular RPGs for the show, then maybe I'll discover a newfound love for the genre, who knows, eh? So to answer the question about Chrono Trigger, if I don't get around to it sooner, then I guess we'll have to wait and see if it shows up on Best of the Super Nintendo, eh? Spoiler, it definitely does. Thanks for watching. Best of the NES will be back once things have calmed down here a bit. There's some other things. Subscribe. There's my Patreon over here. Here's the Best of the NES playlist. I love you. You are nice. Ta-ta!